This is our next video for European American contact period, and it features the bone artifacts that have been recovered from the site. There's a few, maybe 10 total bones. As you can imagine, there's not really that many bones, from that time period, or say even later, Native American, times, such as, after the dating of the tribes, and even, well, maybe, there probably will be some more from there, but that period, but, before the tribes, there's probably not a whole lot of bone, specimens that have survived that time period, as bone, will break down naturally in the environment, or will be consumed by animals. However, though, if the soil conditions are right, and the environment, if it is right, and if you have everything, is just perfect, and by, some kind of luck, if you add all that up, the bone can survive, I guess, depending on where you're at in the country, but here in the Northeast, it's highly unlikely. That you're going to find a lot, but I do have a few that I'm going to show you. This was a rather large animal, and these bones were recovered from the site. Given the size of this bone, you can see like cut marks here. Probably a little more likely look like a stone tool, although there's not a whole lot of examples of what stone tool cut marks would look like. Given the site and the way these were found, and what would be referred to as a cache, these are highly likely to be stone tool. What I mean by cache is they were all in they were buried, but they were all not down too deep. They were all put together, and they were covered in what it was referred to as a red ochre to pinkish reddish color of a coating that was on them. When I got them out, they were all pretty much together, except these last piece I just showed you, and this piece here, which was separate. It's a large, a large bone. There was some work done there on the inside. Yeah, probably, probably some work was done there, but it's split in half. So, but it's survived, as it is. There's a section of jawbone here from whatever this type of animal this was. You can see down there, you can still see the holes, the pinholes were probably where the nerves come up through. It would sit up like this. Just small pieces and two pieces. I'd get pressed straight back together, so we have that and a tooth, what's left of a tooth. You can see that there too. This would probably be the top part of the tooth, what's left of it, and this would probably be the bottom, because here we have the holes, probably where the nerves come through, and these will match up from what I just showed you. Would work the camera here, but you have these holes here, and then if you flip this over on the side, you have those holes there. They'll match up, and it'll sit in there, but with all the tendons and all that, and flesh, and all that, muscle structure and all that, but literally everything's gone. So other than this small section of bone, so put that back together really be difficult. Yeah, maybe like in the illustration purposes, somebody might be able to do that. But most of these have, you know, the tooling. You can see the tool marks still, which is amazing. They were hollowing out on this one here, so they're probably putting maybe a stick or something in there as like a weapon. It's an interesting piece, the way it's shaped. See we get the angle here on this. You turn it around here a little bit. You can faintly see the tool marks on this piece. Yeah, it's interesting. It'll sit just like that. What that was for, I don't know, but it is a survivor, that's for sure. Okay. This one here, as if you see the end here, you can also see some tooling here across there. It has like a larger opening there. I would imagine that if you held that like that, you have a stick in there. Maybe, you know, you can hold that stick on it, you can hold that maybe, you know, like over fire or whatever, who knows. You know, if you needed to do that, or if you needed to make an attachment in there for whatever you need it for. You know, this here would, you know, you can hold that. These pieces here, there's two of these. They're similar. You got some chew marks there, along with the cut marks there, and it's really smooth out, like really wide there, and really, you know, it's thinner. The opening's smaller on one side, and then it's much larger on the other side. Probably like you could put, you know, whatever you needed to stick in there or whatever, and this could be, you know, handle maybe. Yeah, to help you. It's like an adaptive type thing to help you hold it. There's more, you know. There's tool marks. And this one was smooth. This one was smoothed down. Some there. And the openings here are about, oh, this is again, it's the same thing. You need a much larger and smaller. And it's smooth in there. And it says like bone tools, implements are, you know, really rare. To get a few is like amazing. See, I figured out about 10 of these here. Yeah, other than the bone spear points I did in the last video. I guess, you know, make 11, but this last piece, you have, I guess it'd be anybody's guess what this piece would be, other than that it looks like maybe like an elephant or a mastodon. I guess if you try to envision that, you have the head and then the ear coming down here. This is just what it looks like. You got like the body here, and then, you know, these would be the legs, and you know, it lacks it lacks a lot, you know, in what would be detail. But you know, if you think of the skeletal system, you know, it'd be really difficult, you know, to make such an effigy of that, of like a mastodon, elephant, or whatever. Maybe it was, you know, like maybe like a crudely made, you know, effigy of, you know, mastodon, or it could have been, you know, like a maybe like a toy for like a child or something. Yeah, it really is hard to say, you know, what it could be used otherwise. You know, there's smoothing here. It does, the tip of the tip here has been broke off, but yeah, if anything, if it was that, it would be a crude representation of that. But then again, you know, they didn't have, you know, a whole lot of resources like we do today, and so most everything, you know, would be a crude attempt. Yeah, you know, it is in the likeness, and when they would do animals, you know, or goddesses and all that representations, they would attempt to make them in their, you know, likeness. It could be that. I mean, it does look like a mastodon, or like an elephant. You know, you come around here, you know, with your head, and then the ear coming around, you know, the ear coming down here. You know, or it could just be a scrap piece, but they didn't have very many scraps. They typically would use everything: the hide, the bone, the marrow. You know, pretty much everything. You know, would be used. So it's been interesting. You know, I've been looking at this, and with this piece sticking out like this down here, you know, it's gonna, you know, if you're gonna use this for a tool, it's gonna break fairly easily. I'm surprised that it's even still intact, really. So if you're gonna use this for a tool of some sort, this piece right here it's gonna break. If you squeeze on it, if you attempt to use it, it's gonna break. So, you know, and if, you know, we look at, you know, there's very, very little tools that have survived, you know, that, you know, survived the European American contact period, or even, you know, even later than that, even, you know, into what is Clovis, you know, and then the woodland. You know, there might be some more chances, you know, from the woodland period, but I really doubt it. When it may be like the later woodland, later woodland, you know, depending on where you're at in the country, you know, for the, you know, survivability of bone, it just doesn't survive in most places. So you really don't have a whole lot of examples to go by, you know, as in a way of tools to get an idea of, you know, just what type of tool we made. Like, we have no idea, you know, from this time period. But, you know, European American contact going back that far. So this is in all likelihood probably an effigy of maybe a mastodon, elephant, you know, mastodon, you know, it'd probably be, you know, northeast here, and there'd be a mastodon. But anyways, this, you know, I've been looking at this piece, and it is really, you know, interesting piece to look at. You know, in terms as, you know, it's in, you know, it's in not too bad a shape. You know, given it is bone, you know, so the fact that it's here at all is, you know, is a miracle. But I tell you, this animal there was a big one. You know, given the size of this here. See, that's in my hand. More than likely an extinct animal. The only thing I don't know what type of animal this was. This, you know, it had horns. I know that, and there's not a whole lot of bone, you know, left to be able to tell. So, you know, in this here, and then of course, you know, the spear point in I you know, show in the last video. Other than that, it was what, like 11 pieces total. Anyways, this we know will be not a long presentation, a rather short one, because there's not, you know, a whole lot of bone, and there's not really a whole lot really written, because there just simply isn't any bone, you know, to do, you know, any research on. This here would be a good, you know, collection. So this will be all for this video. You know, hope you enjoy looking at this stuff. You know, it's been a few years of study. You know, just trying to, you know, see what I can find out about it. So if you enjoyed this, and I hope you watched the other ones. There's other videos that show other than stone artifacts, and, you know, the site itself for you to watch. If you know, if you enjoy this, hope you get to view them, and that'll be all for this video. The European American contact.